Hey guys, I'm back with another video. Today we're doing something a little bit different. No, it's not different. Nothing's different. It's all the same stuff we do. Actually, the FORDoor Cummins swap. As you guys know, I got it registered, up and running. Have had it on a few trips. I haven't filmed for a while, but I actually drove all the way across the country to Florida, dropped off a car, and then drove back. We barely missed Hurricane Ian. Picked up my buddy Jesse, who's going to be around helping out. He's going to go on Drift Week with us and stuff. And him and I drove back. Well, mainly he drove most of the way back. I was sleeping in the back seat. Yeah. But drove like almost no problems with the truck. I did have a little problem with the fuel injector on the way out there. I got that sorted, fixed. Always something on my adventures. I was cruising along and this injector blew out. It's all pop, 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 pop. And I was like, oh, that's not good. And I start smelling stuff. So my biggest issue is that these lines broke off. The fuel return line. You see that broken one there? That's going to be an issue. But drove there and back. It was great. Got home, and then Travis Robinson tried to race me. Tried to pass me in his BMW. I was like, I'm not having it. So I floored it in that truck, and then the turbo blew up. So now I need to change the turbo. So what I did was I started searching around for an HX40 upgrade because that has the HX35. I didn't want to spend $1,000 on a whole set. So I found a Chinese replica turbo, and so we're going to give that a shot. So this video is going to be installing that, and then if that truck breaks down in the future, I can follow up and show you guys what happened to it and whether this turbo is going to work or not. Let me show you what we got. This was EM USA. Not made in USA, but EM USA. It's a HX40 with a T3 housing that is meant to fit on the Dodge HX35 housing. It does have a wastegate, which I'll probably end up welding that up. Maybe I won't yet. I'm not sure, but I usually weld the wastegates closed on these. But so far, that's the plan: is to just install this. I'm hoping everything lines up as far as like where everything mounts and not have to do a whole lot. I think I'm gonna have to change the exhaust because this has a 4-inch outlet instead of a 3-inch, which is a good upgrade, but I'm not sure if the downpipe I already have is gonna fit right up with it. Pretty sure that's larger, but either way, that should help with. Oh, that's gross. That should help with EGTs. How dare a turbo have oil on it? That should help with EGTs and some added power. So I'm hoping this works out well. If this fits up and I get everything modded, what I'll probably do is order a second one of these. This was, I think, $350 on eBay. It has a billet wheel, but they're not ball bearing. I could not find a good replacement. I wish someone made these with a ball bearing center section. I'd be all about it, but I don't know if there's a reason why they don't do that with diesel turbos. But either way, like I said, I'll probably buy another one. Then I'll be $700 and I'll have a spare turbo. I'll just keep it in the back of the truck. So if I ever break down on the side of the road, I can leave the housing attached, unbolt the center section, and just swap on the side of the road. I literally could probably change this in 2 hours on the side of the road if I had the exact same turbo and didn't have to modify the intercooler piping or anything like that. But it looks like this will bolt up to what's already there. I think this will be a pretty straightforward swap. So let's get into it. All right, so here's the setup we got. It's got this DPS manifold, which is part of the conversion. Turbo's down in there. Let's see if we can see what's going on in here. Come on, camera. Still spins. I guess you can't see it move. I can feel it move though. Basically, it's pretty easy. You take the intake off, you take the feed line off, you take the return line off, you take the exhaust clamp off, and then the whole thing should come off. If you can see, last time I did it, I tack welded the nuts so they wouldn't back out because we had that problem the first time when Kelly installed it. Just kidding.
Nope, blame me.
Kelly helped me fix it on the side of the road, and then they backed out again. So this time I took it all apart, welded it, and then the turbo blew up like a month later. So we ended up just taking all the manifold bolts off, and the whole thing comes off with the turbo. Then I'll grind those welds down, swap it out, and then re-tack them when we put the new turbo on. But while I'm at it, I think I'm gonna do injectors, and I also think I'm gonna do a valve cover vent. They sell like this dual valve cover pair that has a PCV vent on the top, so I think I'm gonna do that. But to even start working on it, I gotta clean all the oil off here. So before I take it apart far enough where I can't start it, I'm gonna go drive it just in a spot where I can wash it in the parking lot, clean all this crap. Because what's been happening is there's so much blow-by pressure, it's blowing the dipstick out and then just blowing oil all over the everywhere.
You know what that means?
So I'm gonna clean that off, and then what?
It means the turbo's working.
Yeah, it was.
That's proof that the turbo once worked.
It puts pressure into the crankcase, and then the pressure's like, let me get out of here. And then it blows oil everywhere, and then I have to pour oil in all the time. So that's the move right now. So I remember from the last time we took this off, the number 5 on the bottom is the hardest one to get to. You can't put a ratchet through underneath there, because that T3 flange is just far enough out of the way that like you can't get a straight one. We couldn't get a curved socket on it. So trying to get a wrench in there, but then you need to reach under the manifold up here and do it that way, but you can't really get a wrench in there very well. So then we put one in the back, but you don't really have leverage from the back to reach it because the cab's over it. So then I climbed underneath, got my arm completely like dirty from my armpit all the way down. Still couldn't get it. And then Jake went and grabbed a crow's foot and was able to get it in there, and like, what a pain in the butt. You know how one bolt out of 12 just makes the job like take twice as long as it would if that bolt wasn't a problem? All these other ones super easy to do except for that one. What a pain. Anyways, now that that's loose, I can finally pull the manifold off and start fabbing up the turbo. I also went to Diesel Auto Power. They're actually just right here next to our shop, and I bought 6 new injectors. They're 90 horse injectors, which is 90 horsepower over stock, not per injector but for the whole set. So I'm gonna get those swapped out also, and then just kind of clean everything up. And then I did order the valve cover vent thing, but they didn't have it in stock, so I'll get that next week. I gotta figure it out, because the way we have it now, it's got these 2 vents coming off of the billet side cover, and they just puke oil straight out. So I need to figure out a better way to put those to a catch can that's not just draining oil straight into the catch can. I also bought a new one of these. This was driving me nuts, and it sat without the hood for years. You can see how crusty it's getting, and it's just like, it's about to break. I already broke that off a few times. I've had to JB weld and epoxy that, then I tapped it and put the bolt in, and I really still think it slowly leaks water or leaks pressure. So I'm just gonna replace that with a brand new one. Finally, that was way harder than it should have been. All right, let's have a look at this thing now. Get out of here. All right. You can see the edges of the fins. Trying to shake it from the back. Yeah, you see that movement? Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Still spins though. Woo! Made some gnarly noises. Oh, it's bent. Anyways, bad news. Bad news. All right, so fast forward a little bit. We ended up welding a bunch of stuff on this turbo. Welded that to that, welded the wastegate shut, wherever that is. It's welded shut. Welded a V-band, so now we got a full 4-inch. We'll have to modify the exhaust a little bit, but it's finally ready to go on. This is actually a really big housing. This is an 18 centimeter housing, and I think the original one's like a 12. So it might affect spool, but it is definitely going to flow better and lower the EGTs quite a bit. So I'm hoping this works out pretty well, because I don't want to have to change this housing. What are you doing? Egg. Well, and since we're already working on the truck, I had to have William come by and glue some windows in. New windshield and a back glass with a slider. Looks sick. And it was so warm outside today, we started to peel some of the wrap off because there was like a piece of trim around it. Someone did some shoddy body work up here, so they had put trim on that didn't belong there to try and cover up some of the shoddy body work. But this sliding glass window, the trim won't fit on it because it's sliding and stuff. So all the imperfections that were underneath all that wrap and stuff. Anyways, we started peeling the wrap off because they actually had wrapped it with the glass out. So like it had folded all the way over. So I wanted to get some of that wrap out, and it started coming off so smooth. I'm like, oh, but why would someone wrap over a nice looking black paint job? anyways, new windshield, new back glass, so we can actually slide while we're driving. And you know, like if we forget to pin the hitch, we can climb back there while we're driving and pin the hitch. Kelly can do that. But turbo's on. I got it started last night, put the new injectors in, skipped a bunch of that stuff, but I've just got to do a little bit more on it. But I had to pause to have William come do this stuff.
I'm holding it too.
Oh. Every time I ask Will to come do something, I always like make the circumstances the least ideal possible. Like, truck's parked against the wall, so he's squished in there.
If I get any fatter, I'm not gonna be able to do this for you.
I was gonna say out in the hot sun, but you do that normally. That's just a normal day for you.
Subscribe to my sweaty shirt pics online.
I'm gonna show everyone so they can steal your technique.
Do it.
It's really good technique. Do the one where you spit on your finger. That's my favorite one. So here's a couple updates on what I got done under the hood. I missed filming a whole bunch of stuff, which I do all the time. I got this new degas bottle, they call it, installed, and you can see that we've already got blow-by coming out of the dipstick again, which is really frustrating because the other thing is we did this cool catch can setup. There's the two lines. There's one in the back there and this one here that come up and over, and they feed the catch can. So we have two vent lines coming off the engine to the catch can, and then one line going to the intake, which I actually did a Venturi type insert going into the intake tube, pre-turbo, so it should create a vacuum on the catch can itself. And then even besides that, we have a vent line coming out of there. If there's too much pressure, it can still vent, and then that just blows over here. So I'm hoping this doesn't fill up too much because there's such a long run for these to go up and over that I'm hoping the oil tends to stay down there because of gravity. But even if not, it'll fill this thing up, and then it'll get sucked into the turbo, which the truck already runs on oil anyways, so it shouldn't be a big deal. But we're still getting blow-by. So obviously the first thing is that it makes me concerned about the health of the engine having so much blow-by. But it runs so good, I think I'm just gonna, once I get the valve cover that has the other vent, I'll either put it to that catch can or do another catch can on top of that that doesn't have vacuum on it, just so it can breathe a little bit more. Anyways, got the injectors in. Truck started and ran pretty good. I'm pretty sure one of the gaskets blew out already, one of the manifold gaskets, which has happened twice, so I'm starting to think that maybe the surface isn't completely flat. Even though this is a new manifold, maybe the cylinder head has a little warp to it or something that's causing the gasket not to sit flat, because we keep blowing out the same one, which is really frustrating. So new turbo setup, new injectors, and it's already leaking exhaust. I did the downpipe. That was a little bit of a chore, but I got that lined up. And of course, it's rattling on the frame now. So however I ended up welding it, it was not perfect. So now I got to deal with that still. It's really annoying to have it rattling. First thing I noticed is when I started driving this thing, it was smoking like crazy. The injectors are too big for how I had the AFC tuned on it. So I have to back off the pre-boost fuel. I'm gonna mess with that today and basically try and get the fueling dialed in, because it's almost undrivable with the way it is right now. I had to step inside the truck, it was too loud outside. But my first driving impressions of this thing, well, first, the slider window, that's sick. There's an electronic like motor that slides it back and forth, which it doesn't have the wiring set up in the truck for yet. I got to figure all that stuff out, but at least the window's in and I can wire it up to make it slide back and forth, or just cut the cables and then do a manual pull system to the front. So I'm pulling levers here and there, getting the window to go. But first driving impressions, the turbo is definitely very laggy, but when it comes on hard. And like, I'm not going to say that. When it kicks in, it kicks super hard, and like the truck just has tons of power. So I'm hoping with a load towing on the freeway, the boost will come in really easily because it's got the flow going. But when you accelerate from a dead stop, it really struggles. Like I said, I still got to fine tune the fueling with the AFC and get it to like work properly. It still smokes a lot when I'm accelerating, so I know it's getting too much fuel. Maybe I need a little bit more pre-boost fuel. One other thing I have to do is the timing is at like 17 degrees, and to get low end power, I need to back the timing back to like probably 15 or 14 degrees. So I'm going to do that today, and hopefully that fixes it. But I'm trying to close out the video. This was just supposed to be a short video about putting the turbo on. I really hope this turbo works. It seems to spool really hard, and the most boost I've seen so far was like 30 pounds, which is pretty good. That's right where I want it to be. So when I hook up a trailer and put some real load to it, I might see 35, which will be just fine, I'm thinking. But all in all, I'm pretty happy. It actually sounds a lot quieter, other than that stupid rattle. Drives me absolutely insane. I'm gonna have to rework the exhaust. But it spools good. It sounds healthy going down the road. I can tell with the 4-inch exhaust that it breathes a lot better. I think I'm gonna get better fuel economy, better power on the freeway, and overall just like a better towing. I just gotta mess with the timing. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Please, if you haven't, check out my merch store. I'll leave a link in the description. We're updating with new stuff, and we're gonna have some shirts coming out and all that stuff soon. Just been crazy busy, and I've got some other stuff, exciting stuff going on, so I'm gonna be making a few more videos in the next couple weeks of what's going on. But stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for all your comments. Leave me a comment below what you think about this build. This has been a bit of a journey with this truck, but the best part about it is I can jump in and just drive across the country, and that was my whole plan, was to have this truck be reliable and reliable as I'm working on it. This whole video is about fixing this truck, but I'm fixing it in a way that I can just count on it. Okay, bye.